My study and work, a multi-level marketing is a pyramid scheme. And no pyramid scheme, by the way, on earth ever has a sign that says pyramid scheme. How do I make money at this? Well, you recruit 5 people. You know, okay, how is that going to make me money? Well, because they in turn will recruit 5 others. Just plot that out. You can see that can't keep going, but 13, 14.
You exceed the global population.
Yes, get rid of your friends, dominate your time. Those are the elements of a cult.
Yeah.
So that's why multi-level marketing is sometimes referred to as a cultic racket. If you believe, you make it happen. If it ain't happening, it's your fault. You didn't believe enough. How do you correct that? You believe more and you continue. First has to get the government corrupted to not enforce fraud laws. So you work at this scheme for 3 or 4 months and you're now 6,000 pounds in debt. And you've pissed off 10 of your friends. You haven't seen your parents or your family.
Well, you might have a family member, you might have your mum like as part of your downline or something.
Maybe you convinced your poor mother to join. And so then you go back and you go to your upline who recruited you. Chris, you didn't apparently believe, enough.
Yeah, you
didn't believe enough. Walk into a big group, you've got this, people are smiling, happy. They seem to have figured it out. What's wrong with you? That it's done on a large scale, an industrial scale. A mass delusion is being created. A mass swindle is being carried out. You can't sell a pathway to happiness. And anybody that tries to sell you that, that ought to be a red flag.
Hey guys, Chris Murphy here. I'm here with the amazing Robert Fitzpatrick today. Hey, Robert.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Very nice to be here today. Yeah, it's amazing to meet you, Robert. So Robert is an expert in pyramid schemes. Pyramid Scheme Alert. He's the president of a company which exposes sort of pyramid schemes, multi-level marketing, scams. He's actually been doing this for 23 years. He's an author. He's got 2 books. I've read one of his books. Don't have it here because I got it on Kindle. So it's Ponzinomics. Really interesting. And the main reason I got him involved today is because about a month into the pandemic, I've become so obsessed with understanding more about multi-level marketing, pyramid schemes. And also, I've been in it in my own journey myself, been in a couple. I still see people all the time sort of getting into these schemes. I want to know a bit more about them. I'm interested in how, in a way, we're sort of sometimes manipulated as humans and we're sort of dragged into these. We're being sold the vision, the dream, the quick fix. We don't, I know a lot of us don't want to work too hard, so we can be more likely to be pulled into the schemes, but also it's very vulnerable, being vulnerable. I think during the pandemic as well, I know people who've lost their jobs and then they've got into maybe some scheme. I also have quite a big community, so I do get messaged every now and again about someone who wants to get me into their, they're selling their products or whatever it is. But anyway, Robert, maybe to start, and it'd be good to get a bit of background about yourself, but maybe I always like to start with an opening question. And I think just get straight to the point because I know you're quite direct with this. But is there really a difference between multi-level marketing, network marketing, pyramid scheme? Is it a good business opportunity?
So the terms multi-level marketing and network marketing, so those are synonyms. They mean the same thing, referring to the same thing. MLM, multi-level marketing, network marketing, sometimes called direct selling, which is a very generic term, but that's to largely disguise it. But they all mean the same thing. No, from my study and work, a multi-level marketing is a pyramid scheme. And no pyramid scheme, by the way, on earth ever has a sign that says pyramid scheme. Every pyramid scheme has a disguise, always a disguise, an investment plan, a club membership, something to give it, to distract you from looking at the basics. And multi-level marketing, by the way, is a term made up in the late 1980s. Okay, when it first developed, it was actually called pyramid selling. That's what government regulators called it, pyramid selling. And the government did try to stop it in the 1970s and was really politically prevented from stopping it. We'll speak about that. But stripping away the terms, I don't distinguish between a pyramid scheme and a multi-level marketing. Pyramid schemes are illegal because they are inherently deceptive and inherently harmful. They are designed so that most people, virtually all people, will lose their money. That's the nature of a pyramid scheme. Small number of people collect the money that the others lose. They're inherently deceptive because nobody joins a scheme in which you are destined to lose. Nobody joins a rigged card game if they know it's rigged, right? Nobody joins a business that is calculated and designed for you to lose and for the person that solicited you to get the money you lose. So they are always deceptive. They are always disguised. And you can see that the day you join, the actual nature of the business itself is never actually clearly even explained or described to you. So nobody joins a multi-level marketing business knowing what it is. They don't know. They join, but they don't know what they joined. So, yeah. So legality question is irrelevant because on the whole, the governments around the world do not prosecute these schemes, rarely. So for someone to ask, are they legal or not legal, is of really very little use to them, because even if it were later just determined to be illegal, if it turned out to be one of those rare ones that got prosecuted, it could have operated for a dozen years as legal. So it really doesn't matter to you in a way whether it turns out to be illegal or not. The main point is it viable? Is it legitimate? Is it what it claims to be? Those are much more important questions for most people.
Yeah, thanks for that, Robert. It's good to get that off to a point of just explaining a bit more, being direct, because I think sometimes people are thinking, well, what about this scheme, or what about this person who's making money, or apparently making money, and I mean, maybe just to summarize, I want to go through a couple of my experiences. So I went to ACM. I don't mind naming some of these companies directly. And that was endorsed by Donald Trump. And what I realized was I went in there and I did not understand a single thing they were talking about. And they just started drawing diagrams saying like, oh yeah, if you recruit this person, recruit that person. And then the other one I went to was World Ventures. And that was like a motivational Tony Robbins kind of event where everyone was jumping up and down. And they just that was so much more powerful, because this ACM thing, I didn't understand what it was. World Ventures was selling the dream of traveling, which to me was so appealing because I was in my job and I didn't really like it at the time. I was trying to do my life coaching business on the side. I was struggling to get clients, make money. And then you're all of a sudden targeted. I was targeted by someone at an event saying, oh, you'll love this thing. We're into Rich Dad, Poor Dad and all this self-help stuff. I go to the seminar. I still don't really understand what's going on, but I'm opposite. This guy's took me out for dinner and he's got me signing some form where I have to pay like £250, so like $350 or whatever, to join, and that's like a monthly fee. But then luckily the next few days I had a gut feeling this doesn't feel right. I googled World Ventures. It said it's a pyramid scheme, lots of conflicting messages. Is it a pyramid scheme? Is it not? Is it? And then I think even if you're getting those responses on YouTube, it should be ringing alarm bells, even if people saying stuff's a scam. The question is that it probably is a scam. So, do you know a bit more about or do you want to pick up on some of the points that perhaps I mentioned about?
Well, in the case of ACN, Chris, did you sign up for ACN?
I didn't sign up for ACN, and that was mainly because I didn't even have a clue what was going on.
You
But
don't
the
have a
Donald
clue
Trump thing
what's
brought
going
me in as well. I thought Donald Trump is endorsing this, so it must be good. It kind of give it a bit of credibility.
Yeah.
And he still does as well, I think. So
yeah, so this is what I meant about if you walked in and you didn't know what was going on, and you listened and you still didn't know what was going on, you listened to the presentation. That's not you, that's it. That is deliberate. They're never going to tell you what's really going on, but they have all these distractions, endorsements. Well, Donald Trump or whoever it might be. Opportunity to do what? It's the opportunity to sell the opportunity to sell the. You can see
But
there's nothing really there except these endorsers. Even if you don't know the person on the stage, they present themselves as successes, wealthy, exuding success, confidence. You're in the room. Obviously, you're not a success. You wouldn't be in the room if you were a success. That's the implication. A success measured by what? Well, they kind of determine that too. So you're in the midst of a flim flam. I mean, you're in the midst. This is classic swindle activity here. Walk in, create an impression, but never really give any impression, really any information. These are the classic first signals, red flags that something dishonest is coming down on you. If this were an individual person doing it, you might be more on guard. Like, you're not making any sense. You're asking me for money, but I haven't figured out what the heck you're even talking about. But when you walk into a big group, you've got this, people are smiling, happy. They seem to have figured it out. What's wrong with you? And so, it adds to the force behind it that it's done on a large scale, an industrial scale. A mass delusion is being created. A mass swindle is being carried out here. And so that's, those are the classic signs of it. As I said, that the key thing that they're doing is to withhold the basics. In business, normally, in real business, if you're applying for a job, sales job, whatever the work, engineering, whatever it might be, the duty and the responsibility of the company hiring you is to tell you what's involved. What will you have to do? What is this whole thing about? And you're not getting that in multi-level marketing. So what they do ask you very often, the first question they ask you when you walk in, you say, well, what exactly is this business? What seems you saying it's a great thing. What is it? Can you explain it to me? Chris, what do you want out of your life? That's what they answer you with. Yeah. Have you, what are your dreams? What are your, now if you bite that hook.
And then they go, that's it. It's like, this is what it is.
Whatever it is you say.
What's my dream job, is it? And they're like, yes.
If you said, I want to be a millionaire, this is it. If you said, I just want my child to have a good education, that's fine too. We can do that. I want my wife to respect me or my spouse.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So the first thing is to find out what you want, what you need, and then tell you they can fulfill that. Meanwhile, you still haven't found out what the hell the business is,
Yeah. It's just, it's like you're being sold something, the perfect product without actually knowing what it is. It's like, it's like finding out your needs. What's your perfect solution? Mm-hmm. And then we'll offer that to you, but we still won't tell you what it is. And then I think sort of the next part again is where I was all of a sudden confused is the main thing they're trying to get you to do is recruit people. That's how it works. It's nothing to do with like world ventures. You're going on these holidays around the world. It's nothing really to do with that. It's like you need to now go get 5 other people, and then you make money. So it's like, forget about trying to sell people holidays, or selling Herbalife, powder or whatever. Just go and get 5 other people, and then you're making money.
Right. Yeah. One point I didn't say when you asked me kind of essentially what is, difference between pyramid scheme, multi-level marketing, no difference. The other piece that should go with that is all multi-level marketing companies are essentially identical. There's no significant distinction between them.
There's no
We went from
exceptions as well. There's no like, this is one MLM company, which is all right.
no. If it uses the multi-level marketing model, if it can be defined as multi-level marketing, then it will be essentially identical to every other one, and they are fairly easily identified. There aren't really any companies that are kind of on the margin like this. There's sort of 4 simple identifiers. And the first one is probably the most important one because I would say that no other company does this. And you just named it, the endless chain model, right? What they call the endless chain. How do I make money at this? Well, you recruit 5 people. You know, okay, how is that going to make me money? Well, because they in turn will recruit 5 others. Well, how would I get 5 people? You tell them they can get 5 people each. That's 25. So you're going to get money from the 5 you recruit and the 25 they recruit. How are they going to get 25? They will tell those 25 they can get each 5, which would be 125, and so on. Well, just plot that out. You know, you can see that can't keep going. You don't have to get to the end of the earth and the end of the population just in your town. You're going to run out of prospects pretty quickly.
13 levels, I think, isn't it? 13 levels, 14.
Yeah, approximately 13. Depends how you count it, but 13, 14.
You exceed the global population.
Yes, yeah. But it really works out much more quickly than that. I recruit you and your 4 other people, right? I recruited you because we know each other.
Yeah.
Probably the other 4 I recruited, I knew them. Probably if I knew all 5, some of them know each other too. You know, so very quickly a crossover. In other words, a saturation already is in place, already occurring, because hey, if you asked each 5, who are you going to recruit? It would probably be some people that the other 4 were going to recruit too. So you can see, and recruiting, by the way, is not easy. As you know,
you got to be good at selling as well. Like, you know, if I was to recruit 5 people,
you got to be very
persuasive. Find the 5 best sellers. You know, like I wouldn't just recruit someone who couldn't sell, but it seems that people just recruit anyone. You know,
so you're going to have a chain, the endless chain, which is no other business, although almost any kind of product could be done. For example, you mentioned life coaching. I could set up a school in which I could train you to become a life coach. How do I become successful as a life coach? Well, you could recruit other people to become life coaches, right? How would I do that? Well, you tell them they can recruit other people to become life coaches. So actually, nobody's actually life coaching, are they? They're recruiting people to become life coaches. So you can distort any product, any business that way. But that's part of the swindle. The second part, this is the classic chain letter, by the way, too. Same thing. There used to be these chain letters that would spread. Each person puts a little money in an envelope, sends it to the person at the top, then sends the solicitation out to 5 other people who do the same. And when your name gets to the top, there'll be this vast number of people who would be sending you the money. That's the promise. So the chain, if it doesn't break. So that's multi-level marketing, is just the chain letter put into a business format. You always have to pay too, right? You always have to pay. You can't just say, hey, that sounds good, sign me up. No, you have to pay.
Monthly fee, yeah. And then who's making that money? If everyone's paying £200 a month, $200 a month, the person at the top is just getting the money, basically. Yeah.
So there's an endless chain, endless recruiting chain. There's never an end to it. It's always, not the last person will be told there's an infinite number. It's unlimited. Everybody has to pay. Everybody has to keep paying, by the way, too. After you
Each
pay
month, yeah. I think World Ventures, it was like a monthly.
yeah. And the monthly amount can either be a fee or it can be a quota of people you have to bring in, or amount of volume of recruits or selling. So that's the third element, is you won't make money unless you recruit. And I think you said that. You're not really selling travel packages. You're selling the business of recruiting people to sell travel packages. So if you ask somebody, well, what's the business? The business is the opportunity. Okay, opportunity to do what? To get the other people to avail themselves of the opportunity. Opportunity to do what? It's the opportunity to sell the opportunity to sell the. You can see there's nothing really there except recruiting.
Yeah, the thing is, Robert, now it's like like me and you would like, once you understand this stuff, these people, when they come and they go straight away. They know that you kind of, you're onto something, and they realize that they can't control you, you know. And it's like, I think sometimes I told you, you meet like an attractive girl or something, it's like, I've got an opportunity, you know, we should meet for coffee, and I'm like, yeah, sure. But then they sit down and they go, I've got this opportunity for you, show you a video or whatever, and you're like, yeah, I'm not interested. Yeah, it's like, well, what's it about? And then you ask it, and then within, you know, before you've even took a sip of the coffee, they're kind of like, well, this guy's not falling for it. But
Right.
the problem is social media, Facebook. I think you still get messages, and sometimes I fall into it as well. Sometimes someone's just asking me questions. I'm like, okay, and then comes the opportunity, like, hey, and it feels quite disrespectful, to be honest, Robert, because it's like I think people sometimes target you because they're like, well, you're not really doing well successfully yet. You're not, you know, like people have come to my events in person and said, like, you know, I feel like I've got this opportunity for you. When you've just spoke on stage pitching your own business, essentially, and then they're sort of coming over and saying, I work for myself. I can get you a job where you can work for yourself selling these products. I'm like, I don't want to sell coffee or whatever. I want to, you know, I want to do my thing. You know, it feels a bit, and people cross boundaries sometimes, don't they? It's like you say no, and then they'll ask you again, you know, and it's like, I think even the way people lack the social intelligence as well. Because I think even they instruct them, like, look, if they say no, that doesn't mean no. It means you can ask them again. And there's some leaked conversations. I've seen leaked footages on YouTube now on Zoom calls, where the way that these people are spoken to, Robert, it really does turn the stomach. It's like people will start crying, and they'll just say, like, you know, you need to work harder, or, you know, you need to do.
Yeah, well, the word is bullying.
Yeah, bullying.
Dominating, manipulating, deceiving. If you've ever been cheated, you know, you realize the person who cheated you, blatantly cheated you, verifiably cheated you, you know that that person did not respect you. You know that everything that they had said or done was actually for the purpose of harming you. Well, in multi-level marketing, essentially, and this is so hard for people to grasp, that's actually what's happening. They're smiling. They're talking about positive things in life. They're telling you they want to help you. But what they are drawing you into, and this is what I meant when I was earlier when we were speaking about the mousetrap. They're drawing you, they're putting out the cheese, but they're not telling you what the cheese is sitting on. So it looks good. And even if you, you know, the cheese being so-called opportunity, so-called business, so-called product, that's all cheese. What's behind the cheese is a model that is designed, carefully designed over many years to harm you, to take your money and discard you. And most people don't even make it through a year. You were very fast if you got out of those two that quickly. Most people, though, in fact, most people don't last in an MLM more than a year.
Yeah, because they just don't make money.
Yeah, they run out of money.
95% of people never even make back more than their initial investment, basically.
That's right. It's actually worse even than that, but that's verifiable. That's can be easily documented. Less than 1% make money. I say it's worse because in 2020, 1% make money and 99% loss. 2021 comes in, the 1% are still there.
Mm.
But the 99% who are going to be lose in 2021 include a big portion of new people. So really, if you said, how many made money in the last 5 years in that scheme, then you would say it would be that same little group at the top who in 1 year, it looks like they are 1%. But if you measured them over 5 or 10 years that they have been soliciting people, they are 0.1%. That is 99.9% of all the people who came and went, joined, lost, quit, or replaced.
Mm.
It's way worse than 99%. So anybody that would ask you even to join a scheme with that track record is definitely not respecting you. But they're smiling. It looks good. They're telling you it's for your benefit. So it's an insidious.
Yeah, and they're lying as well, because they're not making money,
and they're not making money either.
no,
So
no one is. And then but like maybe just to get into this, so people at the top are making money, right? Like the people who've set it up.
when I say the top, we're talking the absolute peak of this scheme.
But
Usually,
how many people would you say, Robert? In maybe not like maybe somewhere like Herbalife, it must be like 50 people, right? And then in
well, Herbalife is in 100 countries, I think.
Yeah.
And Herbalife has been around for 40 years.
Mm.
And so in 100 countries, there's probably a few in every small country that are making money. And back in the United States, where all this money gets funneled, the vast majority of it eventually gets funneled, even where they are in China, the China person who is maybe over, the Chinese citizen who is over a vast number of Chinese victims there who've joined, is still funneling money back to the US where it began. So yeah, a few hundred.
Yeah, but that's definitely getting political then, isn't it? If like money's leaving other countries going to the US.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It is an American scam that should be said. It's an American scam. It was invented in the United States, created here. It for many years, it only operated here. It burst out of the boundaries of the US in the late 60s. I think the UK and Canada were one of the first places, in Australia, that it went to. And then eventually it got into Asia, Latin America, and so on. But it didn't get into China until about late 90s. So it's been in China about 20 years. Now China is the biggest of all markets for just 20 years. It's just exploded there. Now I know China has a big population, but in that short period of time, it spread. India is now it's growing like wildfire in India.
Yeah, I've seen like Herbalife adverts for India, and then would you say some of these countries are more naive and like maybe somewhere like China where people are more fear and controlled and stuff like that, it just makes them an easier target, or maybe because
it's hard to characterize it, but I think in the case of China, for example, you had people with very little experience in business. Of course, business, I mean, there were giant enterprises in China, but there weren't very many small businesses. Capitalism, when China converted over toward capitalism, was presented as this wonderful positive thing. And multi-level marketing rode in with that reputation that it was real business. It's not real business at all, but it had all of that. and then a business for the average person. So, I think that's part of it. The other part of it is the government of China originally tried to stop multi-level marketing. But I think because it's very centrally controlled, as soon as they were corrupted, then it became almost, the government almost imposed it. It almost spread it, helped it. And that's happened in the US too. Our Federal Trade Commission, some of our commissioners end up leaving the commission, going straight to work for multi-level marketing companies. So wherever it operates, it first has to get the government corrupted to not enforce fraud laws. Fraud meaning deception leading to harm, financial harm, which multi-level marketing will always do. So yeah, it has spread worldwide, but there's a political element. There's always a political element. You couldn't run a scam on that scale without buying off the government.
Yeah, no, this is interesting. I mean, I think these are sort of the questions I was going to leave more towards the end of how, this, maybe we could leave that to, how this fits into a much bigger picture. I mean, maybe just to sort of change the topic a bit, to bring it back to, maybe what's happening at the moment with the whole thing with the pandemic, people being out of their jobs. We've already touched on people being vulnerable. More stuff being online. I mean, I sometimes it's like you don't like to see it. You don't like to see people online posting stuff about how good their products are and this and that, especially if they're doing Herbalife. You wonder why how this is still going. Maybe it's changed countries for a while. I mean, because I don't really see anyone doing Herbalife, but it was definitely a thing you would see on Facebook maybe 5 years ago. Maybe still is. Maybe I've just got a different circle of friends.
You probably have, because Herbalife is pretty big everywhere.
Wow.
And it is succeeding. But you're right, the schemes have adapted. We know that many of the schemes started claiming their so-called health products could either cure COVID or bolster your immune system to where you wouldn't get it if you were exposed. So the other side of it is you're trapped at home, you're quarantined, and along comes online a solicitation saying, we have a home-based business. You're already at home, right? So
you don't want to travel anymore. You don't want to go on holiday. You don't want to be you just want to.
And second, you're financially strapped because you're not working, or you're not working as much, or something like that, or maybe you're on unemployment or some kind of government program to keep you afloat only, but you've got bills, mortgages, rents, and credit cards, and so on. So here's a program with unlimited income potential, right? You say, well, I am trapped. I can't do any training. You don't even need training. You don't need skills. All you need is a few friends. If you got some friends, everybody's got a few friends. Or at least a mother, a brother. So, I mean, it's in a way tailor-made for this, to insinuate itself into that circumstance where financial insecurity, homebound, and it presents itself. And then also we're afflicted by a global pandemic, an illness, a disease, virus, and many of these schemes sell products that they claim are medical in nature. They're not actually. They're classified officially as food. They're not classified as medical. If they were medical, they'd have to go through a rigorous.
They're overpriced as well, aren't they? I mean, what was it? I mean, like Organo coffee. I'm sure you've probably heard of that one because you seem to have heard everything. This 23 years of experience for sure.
Yes.
So what's that? I mean, to be honest, because this was another one actually I didn't mention. I mean, I knew someone and she did take me to the presentation. I was just like, not for me. But I still hung around with her. I mean, she was quite a cool girl. But the coffee, she'd always give me the coffee like all the time, and the coffee was actually quite good. It was really addictive. I don't know. People saying there's like mushrooms in it or something. It's like a special
Yeah,
mushroom.
it was supposedly the coffee, I think, was spiked with something that had, health benefits of some kind.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of them have chocolate in them and so on. But again, Chris, we're talking about cheese here.
Yeah, yeah.
And the mouse is approaching the mouse trap. Is it Swiss cheese? Is it French cheese? Is it Manchego, made from goats, sheep, a good Spanish cheese? Is it Irish cheese? Gouda from Holland? Really, is that going to help the mouse? If you told them, that's cheese whiz, that's the cheapest, crappiest cheese, I wouldn't go there because of the cheese. You really wouldn't have helped the mouse very much because you didn't tell him that there's this spring-loaded trap to break its neck the moment it touches that cheese. And this is all, these products are part of their props, part of the scam, part of the disguise to make it appear that this is a sales business. But that's, I mentioned the characteristics of it. The first one is it's an endless chain. That's the first one. The second one is you have to pay and keep paying. The third one is you must recruit. You don't have to sell, you must recruit. So there's a recruiting mandate. At the end of the day, whatever the product, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You won't make money unless you recruit. I could sell you the cheese. You could buy the cheese and say, not bad, Robert, I've had better. It's kind of pricey, but okay, you're selling cheese. I bought the cheese. We know each other. I did it. I wouldn't really make any money on that deal. What I need is for you to become a cheese salesperson, right? Too. And then I need you to go out and get your friends. That's all I need. I don't really need you to be a cheese connoisseur. I don't need that. So that's the third element.
Passionate about the product as well, because I think with that coffee, it was like, even for me, I was giving it to some of my friends. I'm like, check out this coffee. It tastes great. Do you want some? And then you realize you're doing the same thing. I would say with that presentation I went to, it was actually in someone's house. So we're talking from going world ventures to in this, like, I mean, I know Amway, for example, are like maybe sometimes in hotels or whatever, but like then world ventures was like in this school, in this like lecture theater, and then you go into somebody's somebody's house with a presentation on a computer, and it's like an hour video with like some American talking, and you're kind of like. And then I remember in the room, there were literally 4 or 5 other people. I remember one girl was like, yeah, I'm interested, sign me up, like filled the form out. And I wanted to say something because I already knew what these things were, but you just can't, sometimes. Yeah, I mean, what do you think?
Chris, let me suggest
karma, is it?
That girl that signed up may have been part of the scam.
That's a good point. Yeah.
They do this all the time.
I would say that. But Robert, I would say she did seem quite vulnerable. Do you know what I mean? Like I could sense that. I know, but then again, I don't know. But I hear about these things where people, like in these self-help seminars where they go like, all right, go to the back. It's 10 grand for my coaching, and people go up and they go to the back, and you can see that they're in on it because you wouldn't just get up straight away and run. It's like.
The basic idea of a house party, you always have a few trainees or sometimes their upper level people are there and they help you, close the deal with your friends that have come in. And so they laugh at the jokes. And so it really wasn't even funny, but they're laughing. So, hey, I guess we're having a great time, right? They buy the product, they say it's great, they taste it, it's wonderful, they attest to it, and so on. So maybe that person was just like you, an authentic prospect, or not,
or you don't know, do you?
But that's at least a possibility because that is part of the model to bring shills with you when you're recruiting. And the shills, it's sort of like a card game where there's 2 or 3 Three Card Monte, which is a classic fixed card game. Two of the people are in on it. The third is the one that's scammed, right? So yeah, so recruiting is the whole thing. Recruiting, and that should be a red flag too. If they tell you that basically the way you make money isn't from actually selling the product, but from recruiting. Now the product, I will say this too, we should say this. You said, for example, people appear passionate about the product. And I've certainly seen that too.
Yeah.
That coffee, my God, they will talk about that coffee like it's Holy Communion. It's the greatest thing on earth. It brings you this mystical experience, I mean, there's no coffee like it on earth and so on. It'll cure this, it'll help you. And you say, well, and then you see other people like that, maybe it is, maybe Herbalife powdered drink, which is nothing but ground up soybeans, with some fake flavor put in it. Maybe it is that great. Look at how these people respond. And I've seen that over and over again. And I sort of finally saw the pattern that these products become imbued with the magic and take on these magical properties of being the greatest, the best, something that will just change your life, the product. But it is by association with the magic of the program, which is to offer you unlimited income, chance of a lifetime, breakthrough opportunity, transformation, that the product takes on those properties. When that promise of transformation, breakthrough doesn't happen, which sometimes takes a little time, wears down, they buy it each month, it's drinking the coffee, they're talking up the coffee, the income doesn't come. Finally, they say, I maxed out my credit card. Strangely, the product no longer has that magical, mystical quality anymore. And I've had people that were trying to tell me about that product. And when of course, I didn't buy it, but they told me it was so wonderful. Later, I'd see them again. And are you still doing that business? No, I'm going to get back to it though. It's a great thing, but I just didn't. I said, well, you are still buying that product though, still, because you did tell me it would ward off cancer, so, and that it was worth every penny. So I guess you're still buying the product, right? Well, no, actually, it's kind of pricey. I really couldn't afford it. What happened to the magic? What happened? The product became just an ordinary, overpriced commodity suddenly. So when you come into the meeting and you see people wildly excited about these various mundane, silly, sometimes products, and that you go, my God, this thing must be real. I mean, these people are so excited about this pill or powder or oil or coffee or whatever it is. If you would just have the opportunity to see it play out a little bit, you would see it's a kind of brief delusional experience that they're revealing. They have kind of been hyped up to that, but it doesn't last. The product is not worthy of that kind of excitement. It's by association with this incredible opportunity. When the opportunity is not realized, the product just poof, the magic goes away.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I've seen these videos. I've watched some documentaries and stuff where, people have just got their garage full of Herbalife products or with this organo coffee. They've probably got it everywhere in their house, and then they eventually just become sick of it, because they become the customers, really, don't they? Because they're paying all this money, they're buying all the stuff, and that's great. It doesn't happen in any other business where you've got staff buying the products and going bankrupt. You should be getting paid. And the reason I think this is the point I was going to come on to, Robert, as one of the questions is, it's all their fault. It's always their fault. It's like, you're not working hard enough. You're not phoning. Have you made a list of 100 people yet? Are you just your family members? How about their friends? And like, you got to phone more people up. And then I can understand now why sometimes people keep sending me multiple messages, and when I say no, they still contact me, because they are just maybe being pushed to their limit. But they take it hard. They internalize that guilt, but also I think they are unaware of what they're projecting on other people, because they then come into your life very forceful. They sometimes a bit like, they have a bit of a dig, like you're maybe struggling a bit. Like, maybe for me, I'm doing okay, but I'm struggling a bit. They're sort of like, all right, well, if you don't want to be financially free and make all this money, then fine, your choice. You can just keep doing it.
Be a loser. Go ahead.
Yeah, be a loser. You lose a job, 9-to-5 job, and then having a 9-to-5 job is not, it's not it's not like it's the worst thing in the world. It's like, it's whether you're unhappy in that job, I think, is the thing. You could be doing something you love, right?
A lot to be said for a 9-to-5 job, especially if you're unemployed. But 9-to-5 jobs also have career paths. You learn things on jobs. You have security. You have a steady salary. There's a lot to be said for it. They will demean it and try to diminish you if you hold that job as, well, you're just a slave. You're a wage slave. The pressure. So we've talked about the mechanics of a swindle, of a pyramid scheme. I said 4 characteristics define multi-level marketing, and these 4 characteristics are exactly the same characteristics of a pyramid scheme. The endless chain, you must pay to play, they call it. 3, you only make money by recruiting. You must recruit, recruiting mandate. So endless chain, pay to play, recruiting mandate. The 4th one has to do with the part that I said, nobody joins an MLM knowing this, but you always encounter the so-called compensation plan. So how do I get paid? Okay, now, first you're going to start out at this rank and you're going to get 2%. But if you get to this rank, you're going to get another 3%. But of course, your quota for purchasing goes up at that point. Then if you get to this rank, now to get to that rank, you have to have 4 people, and each of them have to have 2 others. And it has to be this many on this side of the leg and this many. And you go, oh my God.
It's confusing.
Who could follow that?
Yeah.
Well, don't worry, Chris. This thing works. It's the greatest thing in the world. You're going to make so much money. All you got to do is start with your 2, get 2 in there, and you're on your way. Okay. So if though you said, I want to see that plan, I want to see, first of all, what has it delivered? I want to see how many got in, how many lost, how many gained. And then I want to break it down and see how mathematically it works. How is the money allocated? Because you asked me to come in, give you 100 pounds. I want to, where does that 100 pounds go? Show me the track of that money. Where does it go? Well, what you discover is that the majority of it goes to the top, not to that person that recruited you, not to the person that recruited him or her. It skips over and goes way to the top out of that $100, the majority. Every scheme that I ever examined, and I've done many of them, more than half of all the reward money goes to the top 1%. Sometimes it's as much as 70 and 80% on every purchase goes to the exact top. This is the reverse of a sales company. In a real sales company, the person that sold to you gets the majority. Maybe a little will go above him or her to their manager, the manager's manager, but the majority stays down there at the bottom. So the 4th characteristic is money transfer. It's a money transfer. And that's the one very few people study and examine. That's the mechanics. But the thing that you're talking about the bullying, the dominating, the telling you that you're a loser if you don't do this, the extreme pressure, the person feeling, oh my God, I've got to hit my quota or I'm going to lose everything.
Cut out your
That,
friends, cut out the negative people,
get
your
rid of your
family.
spouse, get rid of your friends, dominate your time. Those are the elements of a cult.
Yeah.
So that's why multi-level marketing is sometimes referred to as a cultic racket. I described the racket, the 4 characteristics. That's a racket. That's the scam. That's a swindle. It's a calculated scheme to seduce you, entice you, mislead you into getting involved, giving your money, and recruiting your friends, and so on. But now, how do I keep you in?
Mm.
How do I keep you going? I got to dominate you, Chris. I've got to not just deceive you, I've got to manipulate and control you. And if you're at the top of this thing, you develop these very powerful techniques for domination and control. And they are classically referred to as cultism, brainwashing, undue influence, and it's all true. They use these methods and they're identifiable too.
Yeah, and you're like deliberately kept within this cult and you can't break out because the obvious signs that's going out are like, hey, people might say this is a pyramid scheme. And they in the first seminar, they're very open about talking about this, and you think, why would you even mention that word? But they deliberately are doing it, aren't they? Or your friends will say that you're in a scam or this or that, and they're deliberately saying it. So when your friends do say it's a pyramid scheme or it's a scam, or you're giving your money away and you're not the same person you were before, they're then seen as being negative and the people who are holding you behind. And it's like, I was talking to you before. Do you think sometimes this is like maybe with the mainstream media are like this as well? Like, oh, anyone who says this is conspiracy theorist, or they need their head testing. You need to stay away from them. They're spreading misinformation. And then there seems to be this whole thing now, which I seem to be quite sensitive to, of like, global control, that the government are just giving you all the right information and anything else is wrong.
Well, again, that's a metaphor. And
Yeah.
that's why I say I don't go into metaphors too much, comparing MLM to I don't know, BBC, to the BBC. I obviously there are some elements that you could see in there where maybe the BBC holds certain views that it kind of considers above question. And if you do question them, they might think of you as either unintelligent or a conspiracy. Okay, that might be true. But the BBC is not really a control organization. I mean, you can turn it off, you can walk away from it, you can call it a scam. They don't really have many controls over you. So I think it's distracting to see MLM in that way. The first thing for people to know about MLM is to know MLM, to get an understanding of what it actually is. Mechanically, physically, it's designed, it's engineered as a swindle. All swindles have a script, they have a design, they have a process. Stings are like this. There are professionals that do this, but we're talking about doing this on a mass scale. But ultimately, when you join, you're misled. You're first told about the endless chain. That's the first trick, which shows it has no end. It's infinite. It's unlimited. You say, but this thing has been going on for 30 years in my country, in my town. How could the opportunity still be unlimited? Right? But they will tell you it's always unlimited. So there's the first trick, the first lie. If you buy that, and you may buy it because they distract you over into, well, we want to talk about your dreams, Chris. What is it you want in life? What are you hoping for? Now, if you get into that, you've stopped focusing on the absurdity of an endless chain, of the impossibility of it. And then they get you to pay, and then they entice you to recruit, And they also confuse you about how the money is generated and where it goes. That's the physical side of it. But the manipulations are, in a way, even more dangerous.
Yeah.
Because I've got to separate you from your family, from your friends who may point out to you, it's a scam, Chris. It's a fraud. This company's been around 20 years. There's thousands of people that have lost their money in it. You know, these are scam artists. No, they don't want you being exposed. So they tell you straight up, Chris, it's not a pyramid scheme. And anybody that tells you it is, you know, you should watch out for them. This opportunity, you want to break out of this life you're in, right? I mean, doing the same thing over and over again, that's not going to get you anywhere. You need to make a change. So we've got the opportunity for you, but there are going to be people that'll hold you back. And when you hear that, you go, oh, there it is. That's why I never succeeded, because I had that sister, that spouse, that friend who always told me, you know, these types of things. So they have to separate you from objective reality, separate you from your community. That's the first part of it. They're going to dominate your time if they can. And there will be meeting after meeting to go to. And you're supposed to be on the phone constantly. You're supposed to be working your leads. Make a list of 100 people. So they're going to dominate your time, separate you from your friends. They've already separated you from reality because you're chasing an endless chain, which doesn't even exist, cannot exist. So they already got you into that. Then other things they're going to do is they're going to shift their language. They're going to give you language that you don't normally use. They're going to redesign the way you think, actually. One of the first things they'll do is they'll give you a bogus description of a pyramid scheme and tell you, see, we're not that. We're not a pyramid scheme. Or they'll tell you everything's a pyramid scheme. You know, General Motors BBC is a pyramid scheme. Guy at the top, and there's 2 under them, and there's 8 under them. It's all pyramid scheme. Network marketing, it's been around forever. Jesus Christ was the first network marketer. Did you know that? He had 12 downliners, right? And look how that spread. This is the kind of...
It takes away that critical thinking, though, I think is the main thing, because the critical thinking is like, maybe it is a pyramid scheme, and they're like, no. And then they're emotionally controlled as well, because it's like, you want, like you said, you want the vision, you want the cheese, right? You know, don't listen to them. And
so shut down critical thinking. That's a big part of it. They'll tell you that's that rational critical thinking that got you to this dead end place you're in now. So you have to break out of that. You have to start imagining and dreaming and thinking big. That's how so that's another part of it, is this idea that you can create anything in this world right now by believing. So you say, really? Anything. You want to be a millionaire? You can make it happen. You have to believe. So you work at this scheme for 3 or 4 months, and you're now 6,000 pounds in debt. And you've pissed off 10 of your friends. You haven't seen your parents or your family.
Well, you might have a family member, you might have your mum, like, as part of your downline or something.
Maybe you convinced your poor mother to join. And so then you go back and you go to your upline who recruited you, or maybe his sponsor or her sponsor. It's not working. You said if I did this, and I did that. I've put in so much time. I've run up my credit card. Chris, you didn't apparently believe, enough.
Yeah, that's
You didn't believe enough. How do I know that? You're not succeeding. Because if you would believe, it would be happening. Now, how do you get out of that? Tell me that. How would you ever rationally get out of that loop? If you believe, you make it happen. If it ain't happening, it's your fault. You didn't believe enough. How do you correct that? You believe more and you continue. As you continue, you lose more. You go back and they tell you the same thing. So you're
I've been at Las Vegas or something.
Yes, very similar. except you're paying and you're paying. And in many cases, your life begins to unravel a bit. And at a certain point, getting out, there's not much left, right?
Yeah, you've pretty much you're already committed, haven't you? You've sacrificed your relationships with your family. You've put all this money in. It's like, I have to make this work. And then, maybe more for I don't know, maybe a guy or someone who's trying to help his family survive, or
That's right.
a bit more pride there, right? And so it's so difficult. And like I said, the manipulation, and these people, Robert, they don't care, do they? Like, that was the difficult thing I got my head around when I started in this about 6-7 years ago, was how do people do this? Like, but this is just, the world is full of people who scam, sleazy salesmen, and it's
the world is full of scam artists, and I'd say
about money. Essentially, it's all about money, really, isn't it?
It's all about money. I wanted to say, we only have maybe a few more minutes, but the one thing I did really want to say that's not in my book Ponzinomics, but it was in my first book, More, which has to do more with the appeal to personal development. Where
that was actually going to be my next question.
Yes.
I don't suppose I could just quickly mention a point before you go into this. And so I just picked up 2 books. So one is Think and Grow Rich, which the people who were in they always talk about this book, right? I sort of got this book. I've read it a few times, but I'm sometimes questioning, has this book more been sold to me? And then they go like, oh, do you remember in chapter 4 when he said this? And then the other one, Rich Dad Poor Dad, which they use him a lot. And Robert Kiyosaki actually says in either this book or his other book, network marketing is brilliant. Get into network marketing. And then they will say, well, Robert Kiyosaki said it. And it's like, so I just wanted to mention those things as sort of a final point.
He gets paid to say it.
Wow, does he really?
He goes around giving speeches at enormous fees, right? To say that. That's what he does. He's not in network marketing, is he?
Well, yeah, I mean, he sells books and board games, yeah. So.
Yeah, but he's not in them. He doesn't run one. He's not in one, but he tells you to get in it, and he gets paid to tell you to get in it. So the schemers that are running the scheme pay him and exalt him, make him look like this great authority for saying it. But personal development is a theme. And when I've had people say, people get in multi-level marketing are greedy, I said, I don't find that. I find that the people I know who've been in it, and let's face it, millions of people, millions and millions have been in multi-level marketing. They churn in, they churn out. They don't get in it out of greed. They get in it out of hope, aspiration,
personal development, growth.
And personal development. And they're told this is a pathway, not just to make money, but to develop yourself in a correct manner. In a sustainable manner. It will help you build character. It will teach you skills that you will need. It teaches you how to live your life. So in this way, multi-level marketing becomes an ideology, a belief system, far more than just a business. It becomes very much like a religion, an extremist religion. But the thing is, and this is what I learned, and I heard one of your other guests speaking about conspiracy theories, and he said, I don't know the truth, and I don't pretend to know the truth, but here's what I have learned, from studying these things. So here's something that I learned about personal development. Personal development is personal. It's personal. How you develop yourself, how I develop myself may be entirely different. There's no book for both of us. Hardly would there be a book for everybody that would teach everyone how to do it. One person pursues money, maybe that is their path. Another person really pays very little attention to money in their life. They develop it in service, or maybe in developing some extreme skill or a talent or an artistic talent or something else. It's unique. That's the point. It's unique. And so I've had people say, well, how do I make myself a happy, good life? I mean, who does know? If you're telling me MLM, Amway, or Nu Skin, or Herbalife are not it, that they're actually scams. Well, what is it? Well, I always say, well, it depends on you, but it is a matter of first looking inside here, not out there. Don't read a book. Think about yourself. Look at what values are important to you. What things do you love in life? What things are important to you or not important? Those are the clues to work with. And the other thing is, when you kind of develop that as a guide, you're not so vulnerable to being pulled here and there and misled and manipulated. You're on your own journey, and it may take many years, and you can't really predict. I mean, this again is wisdom that has been known for a long time, that going in one direction may appear to be this is the way to go, and then it turns out it delivers something different. You know, you tried to make money, you ended up losing money, but maybe you gained something else. Maybe you gained a relationship, a skill, who knows what it might be, that ends up becoming the real reward for your life. So it can't be reduced to a formula. It's not a franchise. Personal development is personal. It's
Yeah.
unique to you. You know, there are tools, sure, but it isn't a business in a box, for sure. And it can't be sold. You can't sell a pathway to happiness. And anybody that tries to sell you that, you know, that ought to be a red flag right there.
Yeah, that's a great sort of final point, I think, to end on, Robert. And I think overall it's like, I guess the other question I was going to have for you is, is it just a case of karma playing out? People need to learn the lessons. People, need to somehow be scammed, because sometimes I feel like, well, I didn't actually give money away, but then I was maybe scammed by a similar type of person or manipulated by someone or this, and then you meet other people who've been scammed and you're like, why have you got scammed? And it's kind of like, we're here and we're like children making mistakes. I think in business, you need to make mistakes. And when you're vulnerable, you realize you make those mistakes. So it's like at the beginning of the pandemic, to be clear and say, all right, I'm in a vulnerable place. I'm going to try not to get scammed and taken advantage of. I'm going to.
Yeah, you could say MLM is one of the great teachers right now, because so many millions of people are exposed to it, and it is making these grandiose, absurd, and false promises to people. And if you fall for it, there is the opportunity right there to see. If you can see what's going on there, you've now got a knowledge base. You've got a valuable experience that will really help you in the rest of your life. It wasn't a mistake, really, and you certainly didn't fail. That's the one thing I really try to tell people. If you failed in MLM, then you were merely a good customer. It is elegantly designed to cause you to fail. That's how the money is transferred. You must fail for your money to go upstream, and then you'll be replaced, and the new failure will come in and their money will go upstream. It's designed that way. So if you didn't fail, all you really did is manage to scam a bunch of other people.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Not exactly a success. That's not the same thing as success. So there are a lot of lessons in there, even that one. What is a success? That's, like I said, personal development. Success also is a unique thing. And nobody can tell you this is what success looks like, and that ain't it over there, and so on. No, you'll determine success for yourself. That's kind of the lesson, I think, that's there to be
Yeah.
made.
Definitely. And like you said, Robert, there's always going to be people who get in this. You can't save everyone, can't stop them from happening. You've done it. There was Bill Ackman. There was a documentary where he was a big Wall Street guy trying to expose Herbalife, and that somehow backfired.
Yes.
So anyone watching this, I highly recommend checking out that video. It was a really interesting one. But you know, as we'll come into the end now, but overall, where this goes is it's like, not saying it's extremely corrupt in governments and stuff, but these things cannot just simply be shut down. You know, the Parliament in the UK or Congress and governments are just in the US or whatever are not sort of being handed these things where it's like we must shut this company down. It's kind of people in there are then getting money. You know, people. I don't know if Donald Trump is still getting money from ACN even when he was president. So it's like
nobody knows. Nobody would know, but they are politically entrenched. They have a lot of power. They've spread a lot of money around, and anybody that expects that they will just go away or that's not really going to happen. There may be change coming, but I don't see it in the near term, and I don't think that's really an expectation that's realistic to hold.
Definitely, it's just one of those things that needs to be there to obviously teach people lessons, like particularly early on in business and early on in personal development. I'm sure, because it seems that everyone goes down this road at some point, or at least comes into contact with people and needs to learn the lessons. So really good. I mean,
passage, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really grateful, Robert, that you've stuck at this for a long time, and I think sometimes people, like maybe myself, would get into this and quit because I know a lot of court cases you probably get to and stuff don't go anywhere. But there is always stuff there, and people have got, as well, like with you, people have got someone to reach out to and talk to, like people who've lost money or need advice or need to get out, and
Yeah.
So I'm just grateful that someone like yourself is dedicated himself to do this, and I'm sure you've.
That's why I wrote the book too. The book is my statement of trying to put it all together in one place. And the good thing about a book is that it kind of takes on a life beyond you, and people use it to write their own stuff too. And I've already seen some of that other people have taken the book and used it for, college coursework or something else. So hopefully it in some way magnifies or multiplies, my ability to speak about it too.
Definitely. Okay, Robert. Well, I mean, it's been amazing. Really grateful for this. I think my audience will find it useful if I ever meet people who are into some of these schemes or they want to know more. I'll definitely, I'm sure this video will stand the test of time in the podcast, which I'll put out, and can always bring people back. Lots of wisdom here as well. I think anyone would find this interview fascinating, even if this doesn't necessarily apply to you. And I think some great words at the end about looking internally and instead of looking out there, and to watch out for these kind of people. So
great. Yeah, very good, Chris. Well, thank you.